Welcome to another Essential Quinn video. My topic today is looking at excess deaths in England and Wales for the first 4 weeks of 2023. This is an update of my video of 2 weeks ago. The data, as before, it comes from the Office of National Statistics, this time released yesterday, the 7th of February, and let's look at the high-level chart now. As before, we have our green bars, which is the 5-year average trend. We see that the blue line is trending well above 5-year average, the blue line being all-cause deaths and the red line being deaths excluding COVID. Now, you may see on the news in the coming day or so information that suggests that deaths are moving in line with 5-year average. And you'll see here I've added a purple bar to my chart. Now the purple represents what is the 5-year average update per the ONS, and that includes years 2017, 18, 19, skipping 20 but including 2021 and 2022. Now both of those latter years had excess death levels, so some countries argue those numbers should not be included in 5-year averages. Nevertheless, I've got both data sets in the chart now, but let's get into the detail of my report. So here in my report we have the numbers for week 3 to the 20th January. And we see in week 3 that we had some 2,591 excess deaths over 5-year averages, 19.6% of the population. For week 4, that number drops slightly to 1,376 deaths, just 10.8% of 5-year norms. Nevertheless, those increases are still statistically significant. Now, in terms of the cumulative data for 2023 to the week ending the 27th of January, we see that total deaths are in excess by 10,309 persons, so 19.8% above 5-year norms. Now looking at the split of deaths across age groups, we see that all age groups above 15 are recording very significant increases. In terms of the split between male and female, whereas in weeks 1 and 2 they were broadly very similar, we now see that men at 5,681 of the total are actually 55% of total deaths, leaving females at 45%. Now, one interesting fact to observe here, with deaths running at some 19.8% above 5-year norms, if we look back at 2020, which was the first year of the pandemic, round about the 1st of May, some 5 weeks into when the first deaths started, excess deaths in the UK were running at some 20.3% above 5-year average. And yet here we are today in 2023 at almost the same level statistically, and yet we see no emergency or alarm from the government. Now, of course, there are some people asking questions and asking for better analysis of why people are dying at such excess numbers. Let's look at this question recently raised in Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, the Chief Medical Officer recently warned that current non-COVID excess deaths is being driven in part by patients not getting statins or blood pressure medicines during the pandemic. But when looking at the data on statins in openprescribing.net, which is based on monthly NHS prescribing, there appears not to be a drop. So where is the evidence? And if there isn't one, what is causing these excess deaths? Will the Minister commit to an urgent and thorough investigation on the matter?
Well, we are seeing an increase in excess deaths in this country, but we're also seeing that in Wales, in Scotland, in Northern Ireland and across Europe. And there are a range of factors. There is an increase, as we saw in December, in the number of people being admitted with flu, with COVID and with other healthcare conditions. And this is not something that's just seen in this country, but across Europe as well.
Bridget?
I think you'll agree that Esther McVey was less than impressed with the minister's response. But in terms of the actual detail of her response, that deaths are due to high levels of flu in December, let's look at that right away. So here I've gone to the 2022 report where we have deaths by disease category. And we can see at the beginning of December, first week of December, that those dying of flu would be categorized under acute respiratory infection. And yet here we see in the first week of December, those deaths were running at 1.5% lower than 5-year norms. For week 50, the number increases slightly to 11.2% above 5-year norms. But looking at cumulative data for the whole of 2022, we actually see that acute respiratory infections are actually only 3.1% up on 5-year norms. So I think you will agree that in no way does the minister's answer explain the high levels of deaths that we're currently experiencing in 2022 and now into the first 4 weeks of 2023. Let me leave you with this summary for 2023 week 4, all of the key numbers and facts. Please pause the video if you need more time to review. Thank you for watching again today. I look forward to seeing you again soon.